All right, here we go. It is market update time. A lot has happened in the last week, obviously with the stock market and the rates and inventory and everything else. So stick around to the end because I want to make sure I share everything with you, okay? But as usual, check out the numbers down below. The rates are sitting there right in the mid sixes again. They did take a little bit of a dip there for a while. I mean, they've actually, over time, over the last several months, I mean, they've gone from the sevens down to the mid sixes, almost a full percentage drop in just this year. So that's good news for buyers for sure. Look at the inventory though. We are starting to see a little bit more inventory coming. And when I do this report, I'm talking a lot about Orange County and obviously the Fullerton area, North Orange County that I'm in. So this doesn't technically apply, nationally, but look at the numbers because we are up. I think I've got us about 28% up in inventory, but that's still about 1,000 units shy of where we were for our 3-year average before COVID. So we're still pretty low on the inventory end, and that's why we're still in the 70s here, and a lot of Orange County in the 50s and 60s in the MAI range, which is still on the seller side, still not down to a buyer's market yet. But what's going to happen with these rates? Well, I talked about this last week. I've talked about before that a lot of time these lenders and these big institutions will kind of already bake in those lower rates in anticipation that maybe something's coming. And man, they baked in those rates and something was coming and the stock market took a dip. The Dow went down like 1,000 points and the other indices were down by like 2%, almost 3%. And so we had a big shift in the market. We're gaining a little bit back on that, but this may make the Fed, hopefully, I don't want to say overreact, but react in a way to try to drop rates, which I don't know if that'll trigger inflation even more or not, but we'll have to kind of see what they do in September. But they may jump in earlier. So keep an eye on those rates because something I want you to think about with the rates dropping, and then we still have people, I still get calls and response to my emails and everything else with, we're waiting for rates to drop, or waiting for price to come down and things like that. So I put 2 things down here. I'm looking at my email right now. I've got one in blue down there that says purchase now versus purchase later. And below that, purchase now and refi later. So those will break down in the table that I pulled from Stephen Thomas, which reports on housing. He's great. But those will show you what it costs to wait and what you're actually saving by waiting for those rates to come down. And I've said it over and over again that yes, if let's say rates are down in the 5s next year, but if the rates are down in the 5s, prices are definitely going to be up if inventory stays kind of where it's at, even if it increases a little bit because we are so short. So you're not getting the benefit of actually that equity in your house. The seller is, right? Maybe you didn't buy that house, somebody else did, so now they own that house. If that was your house, you would have that 5 to 8% increase over the year, instead of having to put a bigger down in there. And that's all in those tables. So I want you to look at that. I don't want to go into it too much. But people that are waiting to purchase, I mean, right now is a really good sweet spot for buyers because we are seeing a little bit more inventory. And again, this is all of Orange County. Certain areas are obviously very difficult. I've got clients looking in certain areas. We're just waiting. And we have to because there's a certain home that we need to get. But all around Orange County, there are opportunities going on out there, and there's a good time for buyers. And so look at those tables. I'm going to keep referring back to that to see what it'd be like if you bought now in the mid 6s, and if the rates did drop into the mid 5s, what that would look like as far as payments go, that refi goes. Is it worth it to do that? So I want you to look at those things. For sellers, obviously, I've got a few listings coming up here in the next few weeks. We're getting some things ready with some homes. But for sellers, this is a great time because still in certain areas, especially in North Orange County, there's just not a lot available, and even areas where there is some stuff available, the stuff is sitting around a little bit. We're going to put our houses on the market to make them the most attractive homes on the block, not the most overpriced or the most overbuilt, just the most attractive homes. And so that's what we're going to do with our clients. So if you're a seller thinking about listing or homeowner thinking about listing and you're thinking about selling, reach out to me. I can walk through that strategy with you. Okay, so check all that stuff out there down below. Check out the real-time market profile, those links that I have down there, the interest rates, everything else. If you need anything at all, you know what I always say, Agent B, here to help when you're ready.